Okay, so welcome. This is the session Native Land Enhancement with Chief Daryl Black Eagle Jamieson. NOFA Mass is strengthening our commitment to racial equity and justice by examining whiteness and dismantling systems of white supremacy that are part of many dominant systems, including our agriculture and food system. We also want to honor the indigenous land stewards who are the original occupants of the land that we are currently living, farming, and residing. Please use this map or this link to find the area that you farm and live and identify the original stewards of those lands. Lastly, we want to call to everyone, especially white allies and co-conspirators, to action on a few items to assist BIPOC-led organizations. Those actions are listed on this slide. Also, there are 2 events taking place for Spanish speakers and for BIPOC members. We have a number of sponsors who help make our conference possible, and I encourage you to purchase from them. And when you do, let them know your appreciation and support for NOFA Mass. And please also take a moment to explore the virtual vendor marketplace, where there are a lot of great information and some generous discount codes for conference attendees. And most importantly, I'd like to thank you all for spending the weekend with us because we couldn't do it without you. So on that, I am going to stop sharing and introduce our speaker today, who is Chief Daryl Black Eagle Jamieson. He is the clan chief for the Pocasset Wampanoag Tribe of the Pokanoket Nation. He is a drum director for the Eastern Medicine Singers, CEO of Eastern Medicine Cultural LLC, serves as the State Constable in Rhode Island, and runs several businesses, including Black Eagle Productions, for cultural media and federal investigation as PI. He holds degrees in digital media productions and environmental technology. So with that, I welcome Chief Daryl. How are you?
Good. How you doing? How is everybody today? Hopefully everybody's good at trying to keep warm in this cold weather. Like me, I'm glad I don't have to leave the house today. So I'm going to try and go through quite a bit of information for you today and give you an idea of what we do and how we work with the land and the different things that we do environmentally and our culture and things. So hopefully I can get through it all. There's quite a bit, but I'm going to start off the right way for everybody this morning with a prayer in the Massachusetts dialect that was given to me by a good friend of mine who passed away, Donald Three Bears Fisher. He was a current speaker of our language, and he was one of my teachers. So without further ado, I'll start this prayer, and then I'll translate it for you in English, of course. Manitou, Manitou, Wami, Masaganak, Manitou. Ken Nuta, Nunapo, Anaquabian, Manitou. Tabatni, Katabadamish, Niwuchi, Yao, Kisakak, Wonigan. Katabadamish, Niwuchi, Wunimunyank. Napian Tam, Asakisakush, Niwuchi, Wame, Mnini, Masiniak. Nipian Tam, Niwuchi, Pamatak, Nasasak, Tashi, Pamatunk. Napian Tam, Niwuchi, Nishno, Oase, Pamatuk. Napian Tam, and Kisakakwan, Nishno, Mantapan. Ninuan, Tabatantamak, Niwuchi, Kabanumiyank, Wuni. Ninuan, Tabatantamak, Niwuchi, Wami, Ma, Etakwash, Ka, Apashanish, Wonigan, Quinnapoki. Ninuan, Tabatantamak, Niwuchi, Nisipapag, Ka, Patak, Wonigan. Ninuan, Tabatantamak, Niwuchi, Nishno, Tiace. Nucky T. Tukum, Suki Wamsakak, Aho. I have said, Creator, Creator, Almighty Creator. I stand before the Creator. Thank you. I thank you all for this beautiful day. I thank you for my health, my well-being. I pray each and every day for all my people. I pray to the 7 future generations to be born. I pray for all the animal creatures around and about me. I pray to the sun god each morning. We give thanks to the good harvest. We give thanks to the beautiful forests. We give thanks to all the beautiful trees and the flowers surrounding us. We give thanks for the beautiful lakes and waterfalls. We give thanks for everything. I have spoken. Suki Wamsakuk, which is Black Eagle. Amen. I'm going to do a song for you on the hand drum this morning, a song that I wrote, again in the Massachusetts dialect. Excuse me while I grab my drum. And this is a song, it's called Aniski Tumpawag. And Aniski Tumpawag is a song that is a welcome song that we play at all the powwows when we're opening up. And that song is a welcoming for the 4 directions of man. So the 4 colors of man is the white, the red, the black, and the yellow. Also, it is the 4 directions. So this song goes out to all of you who are welcome here this morning. Hey, Aniski Tumpawag. Enjoyed that, and welcome everybody. I always like to use my drum. That's a very traditional opening. And the drum is the power of the land. So if you give me a minute here, I'm going to share my screen. Hey. If everybody can see that, just nod your head. Beautiful. Okay, so Kwekwe in our language, that means welcome. Welcome to the lands of the native people. And I'm going to go over a little bit of the territories here. I know it's a small map, it's very small, but this kind of gives you an idea of the different tribes that are around at the point of contact. My tribe is right down here where the arrow is. Where you see the Pokanokets and the Pocassets. My land is in Fall River, Mass. Right now on the border of Westport. It's called the Watuppa Reservation. But our areas of where we governed and where we did our traditions and our fishing, our hunting and everything were pretty much all throughout southeastern Massachusetts. All the tribes, especially with the Pokanokets, we all basically worked together and we traded and did different things together. So as you can see up here, it says, the lands were from Tiverton all over the place, small villages, like you might have heard of Assonet and other different villages around there. There were villages in New Bedford, but mostly these were people of the Pocasset. The Pocasset was a very big tribe at that time, and we governed a lot of land. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay, at this point, I always like to, right immediately, I like to open it up. If you have any questions about like the land areas of the Pocassets, the Pokanokets, I have, I left a few minutes open. If anybody has any particular questions, this shot right here in front of you is the waters of the North Watuppa Pond that were originally under the Pocasset domain until it was taken by the Fall River watershed in 1909. But our burial ground is still down there, so we visit it. We visit it quite often and go down there fishing. So, if anybody has any questions,
Daryl, I got one quick question.
okay.
Can you show your slides in like a presenter view so that they can fill the screen?
Yeah, let me. Is that better?
It's okay for me. I've got one, I'm not sure that everybody is seeing like the full screen here.
I think if you
Okay.
maybe click on the view tab, you might be able to change it into present mode.
On the top of your bar under view.
Okay. Let's see.
I think you want slideshow.
Is that it up there? I'm sorry, I'm not too familiar with
No,
this.
That's okay. What do you have under view on your
To the
Up
left
top,
of the middle, yeah, up on
The left
top.
in the middle.
to
All the things are
your
colored.
right, to your right. Yeah.
Let me see
Oh
if I-
yeah, where it says slideshow.
Okay, there, wait a minute. There we go.
There you go, slideshow.
I gotta move that. That's why I couldn't see it. All right. Normal, slide sorter, notes,
Huh.
reading view, slide master.
I think it's under slideshow.
It's under slide.
Oh, yeah, up where you were on with view, you've got animation, and then right next to it is slideshow.
Okay.
See what's under there.
Okay. From beginning, broadcast slideshow, custom,
I think just from current slide.
Yeah,
From current slide.
from current. Okay.
Let's see where we go.
Is that it?
Oh, all right. So you're in the right area, but slide to the right. And there is use presenter view. The little checkbox.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. We're all working hard on this one.
it's right above where your slide says questions.
Yeah, I don't have any. It's like a big box right now. Let's see.
So where all the text and buttons are, it's to the right part of that.
Jeez, I can't see any of that now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's all. I gotta figure that out. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
All
you're
right,
getting
so-
closer.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's
Just click on the from current slide box, double click on it. There you go.
that's it.
Now
That
it's
should
not.
do it.
It's not in presenter view.
No. Huh?
That's what I was looking at on the right. So if you go, it's almost in the middle of your screen
In the
toward
middle.
the
of it.
top.
Okay. Let's see what we got here.
You're headed in the right direction. Keep going, keep going. One more now at the bottom there.
Oh, use presenter view. Okay.
Let's see if that does it.
This feature is for use
Oh.
with more than one monitor, but only one monitor was detected. To see if your computer
No.
on display.
Huh.
Yeah, no, well,
Yeah, that might send us in the wrong direction. I don't know how many people are struggling with it.
are you having a hard time seeing it?
I'm not. I mean, I can manage it.
I'm wondering, Daryl, at the bottom right, on the very bottom bar next to the 65%, there's a little, just to the left, just to the left is like a podium symbol.
Oh, yeah.
That might be presenter view. or not.
All right. Let's see. Oh, I know I can go through this fast. All right.
Otherwise, at the bottom, there are 3 icons.
So it's too small. Was that?
Good, good.
Oh,
That's
good.
good.
There we
Go with it.
That's good. Okay. All right. Let's get out of this.
Oh,
Oh boy. Oh, goodness.
I can see it. If you're looking to get rid of that white bar with all the wording, there's a tiny little arrow up next to the blue question mark on the right-hand side. Right there. All right. No, not the question mark, but the little right there.
Okay.
okay. Oh,
You got questions?
Oh boy, this is okay. All right, can you everybody see it good now? Or?
I'm good. Anybody else? Everybody else good?
We might be losing a little bit of the bottom, but I think we just keep going.
Yeah, this. Let me see something. Yeah, I can't. It doesn't look like I can get rid of this now.
I got a thumbs up from folks in the chat.
Okay, good.
So I would say we.
Sorry to take so long on that.
That's all good. It's all good.
Okay. All right. We'll go back to the questions now.
We do have. There's one question in the chat.
Okay.
My understanding is that where the city of Providence is located now, that spot is close to the border between the traditional homeland of Pocasset and Narragansett tribes. Is that correct?
It is correct. It is the border between the Pokanoket Nation, which falls. We all fall under that. The Pocassets and all 39 tribes that were part of the nation. That was Massasoit and Metacom and Alexander that ran the Pokanoket Nation. So the border was like, you got to understand that Providence was different back then, the way that it was set up. So the rivers as they come in now are very different than they were because they blocked them off. But if you know where Roger Williams Memorial Park is in Providence on North Main Street, that is basically where the border was to the Pokanoket Nation and the Narragansett. So they were on the other side of Providence. So Providence was basically divided in half as far as the territories back then. The Pokanoket and the Pocasset were very close because we were all intermarried and interrelated. So the territories went all the way down through Providence and into Massachusetts at the time, and the East Bay, which is now the East Bay of Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts down to the Cape. And again, it was very different back then. We didn't have the canal and everything. You could cross the Cape by land, so it was very different. But yes, that is our traditional lands.
Got a hand up with Ellen Fine.
Hi, Chief Daryl. Good to see you.
Hey, how you doing, Helen?
Good. How are you?
All right. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know. Well, at least on Facebook, we get to see each other.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
My question is, I think you remember that I live in Needham, Mass. And, Needham bordering on West Roxbury and Dedham, all these towns from now and Natick, South Natick. So, My understanding is that a lot of the borders come about in, natural barrier kind of places like between rivers. And so was there a traditional, do you know about the up here where the, so like on one side of the, what we call the Charles or the Canobican, would that be more like Nipmuc? And then on the other side would it be more Massachusetts or, maybe
Yeah.
tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, so like Needham and everything. That was that was all the Massachusetts tribe, the Massachusetts Nation, just like the Pokanoket Nation. So that most of that land that's up in going up from Boston, like kind of like I would say around the 495 area, coming up that would be like Massachusetts land going up into that area of Boston. And then, of course, the Nipmuc had everything down below that, going along 495, Assabet Valley, Worcester, Quinsigamon Lake, all out to Webster, Quobog. There was actually a Nipmuc Quobog tribe out in Braintree. So, Needham and all of that was definitely Massachusetts.
Hope to see you up here again sooner rather than later.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Ellen.
At the church with Chief Carringhands.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Daryl, I got one more question in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Do the Pocassets or the Pokanokets have land use access for hunting and fishing, or have any ownership of their indigenous lands? If not, are there legislative efforts underway for you to gain that access?
So in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Bay Colony had a treaty that was signed in 1725. It was the Mass Maritimes Treaty in Boston, and it gave all the tribes Aboriginal rights to hunt and fish. That is what allows us to take the game and the herring, the fishing in Massachusetts. So that is something that's still honored, and so you basically can hunt, anywhere except obviously not on private land, but you can go anywhere that's open land or state land, as long as you have your tribal card and you are a state recognized or federally recognized tribe, you are able to hunt. With our particular position, the Pocassets, we have a reservation, so we can go on the reservation hunting or fishing, anytime. And that is basically restricted to us because it's a tribal reservation for the Pocassets. And, it's subject to people that have tribal cards that are part of our nation. As far as anything else, I don't see anything legislatively coming because the Commonwealth already honors the Aboriginal Treaty that they had like years and years ago, 1700s. So I don't see anything new coming out at all.
Okay.
Any more questions? No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to get on with animal rehabilitation. And I've actually been involved in this extensively for years, because not only on the reservation and my job as an environmental person, I also belonged to the Northwest chapter of Ducks Unlimited for many years. I was the committee chairman. So I got to be not in direct building, but I got to be part of a lot of local things that were taking place in Rhode Island and the borders of Massachusetts with Ducks Unlimited. And the big push back then was to bring back the wood duck numbers. And they came up with a wood duck box years and years and years ago. And those wood duck boxes have been planted throughout several areas, marshes, swamps, any place that had available water that they could be put up and they could nest, and they could put those boxes in a safe position. So I've been a big advocate for that, and now years later, I see what it's done. It's the wood duck numbers have come way back up, and it's not like it was when I was a kid. You hardly ever saw one. Now they're pretty numerous in a lot of places. So it's a program that was great, and I was glad to be involved in it. And then I became the vice president of the Woonsocket Sportsman's Club, and we had water out there, a big pond out there, and so I was instrumental in bringing the wood duck box program into the club, and we did very, very well with it. We started getting a lot of nesting, a lot of wood ducks over there. So one of my things was I always was involved with waterfowl and waterfowl management. So I'm going to the next bullet that I have here. This is land conservation path construction. So kind of at the same time that we are building on our reservation is one side is like over 100 acres, and it's all natural wooded area, and we basically want to keep it so that it's environmentally sound. There's not a lot of impact to it, and we made a series of paths through the reservation. And one of the biggest things, components that we wanted to do, number one, was to restore this little animal that you see down here. This is the Eastern cottontail. The numbers in the past had been very low in the Eastern cottontail area, and we wanted to do something to bring them up. And the big reason for the reduction in the cottontails was a lot of it was loss of habitat, but also we introduced predators that ate the cottontails basically over the years. With the introduction of the coyote, that was their biggest predator. So in order to do something to give them cover, to save the Eastern cottontail and give them the cover that they needed, because so many of the places with the building and everything took down their shelters of cover. We came up with this thing back in the 2000s of an animal hut. I don't know if anybody's familiar with them at all, and it's very conducive to when you're building the paths throughout your land, because it doesn't really put a footprint there. What we do is we use the very sticks that we're cutting to make the paths, to make these animal houses. So what the animal house basically is it's a series of sticks, and at the bottom we leave a hole so that those small animals can get into those places, and they can be protected basically from the predators that are looking for them. I mean, over the years, there's still bobcats around. The coyotes now, that they have basically overrun a lot of the places, so they ate up a lot of the local cottontail population. So we wanted to protect them from that, and then also birds as well. Some birds could go in there, and that's basically what we used on the reservation. And the last few years I've been seeing cottontail rabbits back again, because they can go in there and they can hide. They can hide until that predator passes, and they can stay in there because it's like a series of sticks that we put together so that those big predators can't get in there. Cats and foxes and anything bigger than that, a coyote. So they can stay in there, and also small birds can get in there. Some small birds will, sit on top of it or nest on top of it as well. So these animal huts have been fantastic, worked well on our reservation, and right now the Pocasset Pokanoket Land Trust is expanding, and we're acquiring different lands, and we're going to be doing this all over because we want to keep these lands pristine and bring back the natural habitat and the natural animals that were once here. I'll skip back here to this this was an experiment we tried. We put in a little mini apple orchard on what we call Metacom's Path on our reservation. Unfortunately, the deer ate them to death. There's just so many deer now. We really couldn't do a lot with that because these were wild. It was in wild places. It wasn't like a managed farm. So a lot of the stuff that we do is in the wild. We caught it in, we caught it out. We go out there, we work, in the forest every day when we're out on the land. So unfortunately, we tried it, but it didn't work. It did provide the deer with a lot of food through the winter and fall, though. So it was still beneficial. All right. So let's see. Okay, this is really an important part of the land management for the tribes. This is the river herring. Some people they call them alewives, but we call them the herring, and they are one of the most fundamental elements for food, not only for the tribal people, but for the planting, because the river herring are what we use to create a great biological setup when we do our traditional planting. Now, the annual growing season usually begins in April if the weather's warm. We call that Suckiana Keys Wash. That it means it's time to plant the corn and the river herring are running. So those two have such a parallel use together that it's amazing. And I don't know how many have ever been to the river herring run. One of the big ones is the Nemasket River in Middleborough, which is where we go every year. And they have a station there now where they count the river herring, and they're doing pretty well. We only go there usually during that time to get them to. We use them to plant with, and we also use them to eat. So we're actually the only ones at this point that can take any herring. And again, that you've got to be a recognized tribe. You can't just go out there and say you're a native person and take the herring. You need to be from one of the tribes that are local to Massachusetts. Now, also with this Suckiana's Keys Wash, I'm going to grab my drum again for you. I have a song. I'll give you a line of this song. And the song is called the Wampanoag Spring Song. Saying apple sagamo way high yo Suckiana Keys Wash hey yo apple nisi quen way high yo na mesa Keys Wash hey yo Nicoma Snippy was way high yo see Puna Keys Wash hey yo way high yo way high yo Suckiana Keys Wash hey yo. And as you can see, the drum goes right with the ceremony of the time of year and the land. So from almost everything, there is a song. That's the song for the beginning of the spring. So now what we do is we'll take these fish, and when we do our gardens, which are done all over, we do our gardens where people can't find them. So we take these fish and we plant them in the garden and it gives a biological area for everything to grow perfectly. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the type of gardens that we grow, and maybe some aren't. But we do what's called a Three Sisters garden, and it's planted environmentally in mounds with corn, beans, and squash. And it's a very unique type of planting. So what we do is we will take the sister beans and we deposit that into the soil, and that gives a nitrogen base. And then we take the sister corn, and that supplies a vine for those to grow up around it. And then we take sister squash, and those big, I'm sure everybody knows, the big squash leaves, that shades the ground, and it clusters, and it works beautifully with the two together, you know. And what we do is we plant these clusters together in 4-inch mounds, and we separate them usually a few feet apart. And we usually, like I said, this is done in the spring when the weather starts coming up. We're looking for that nice, beautiful, 50s again to come through with the spring sun, and this is a beautiful garden, and everything works well together. And with the herring, of course, we plant the herring in that garden. It gives it a perfect area to grow. Some of the other things that we do as well is this is one of my favorite locations. I've been fishing there, hunting there over the years. This is Tiverton, Rhode Island, which is basically our homelands. This is called Sepowet Point, and it's the point of the Sakonnet River out there that you can see behind us, which is brackish salt water. So we have a youth program. Myself and Dave, who's pitching in there. Dave is our environmental guy as well, and also he's head of the security on the reservation. And we take out the children, and we go out clam raking. We're trying to teach them how to get the clams and how to harvest them, how to eat them, and then of course after we're done with them, we make the wampum. So it's like a threefold thing for us with the culture there. And Dave is actually probably one of the greater wampum makers. His wampum making, which is made out of the quahog shell, the white and purple. He's one of the better ones that I know. And he's also on our tribe, and he's a great asset to the tribe. But these places right here are it's very inducive to our culture to have these places and to be able to go out and take the youth out there. And it's a big part of our culture is outdoors. It's environment. We are really environmental stewards, the native people, and we like things to remain the same. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to open up for any questions that I can take to answer any of the questions of the information I just showed you.
So we got some questions in the chat. If people want to come off of mute and ask them themselves, I'd be happy to do that. If you don't want to, I can read them, but anybody that wants to come off of mute and come on and ask Daryl directly.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Hi. I'm getting ready to relocate to Marshfield, and it's an estuary area, so it's very. I got water testing going right now to see if it's salt water or fresh water, right there on the North River. And I was wondering, I'd love to do some ground healing and then find out what we could plant there, which would help the native, the animals and the ground and everything for healing. So how would I get a hold of you when I get back there in a couple months? And maybe
I can, at the end of this, I'll give you my email address. And
okay.
you can contact me there, and I'll come down and see what I can do to help you. That's what we do. And I love that. That's a nice area there too. Very nice.
Lovely.
Yeah. I hope you're gonna enjoy it out there. I love the ocean. That's I've always been an ocean boy. A lot of
Lovely.
tidal marshes in there, and
Yeah.
yes. So let me know when you get there.
Okay. All right.
Be
Thank
glad to
you.
help you.
All right. I'll email you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Okay.
All right.
Anybody else?
Anybody else want to jump on? If not, I do.
Yeah,
have-
hold on. I'm sorry, it took me a minute to unmute. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, yes, I'm curious. I'm from Mohegan, so I'm from the Mohegan tribe. in
Yes.
Connecticut here. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm glad.
You look familiar.
Oh, maybe. I'm glad to hear something about your tribe. I'm interested in learning about your tribe, and this has been very nice. We have a lot of similarities. We have a lot of things in common.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what I was wondering, and I just put it in, I don't know if it makes sense or not, is if you have somebody on your land, are you able to arrest them or prosecute them or whatever? Or do you have to call the state police, or does the tribe have its own enforcement?
We have security people, but we have an agreement with the the local police department.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah. What happened was years ago when the city of Fall River illegally took the other half of our reservation,
Yeah.
which is another 100 acres. When they did that, they did it for the use of the water authority, so they could get free water. So in the legislation, it was said that they must keep the area open and they must be work with us on things. So, we've had issues in the past where people tried to squat and
Oh, yeah.
do different things and everything, and the police department was very, very responsive. But we also have our own guys, and most of the guys on my security team, we're all vets, including me, and we can be pretty rough, and we don't have to go by the laws of the state, because
I see.
that land has been there since the early 1709. And so it was under treaty, and that treaty, we never signed away those rights for that treaty, so we still have sovereign power on that land. We like all Indian tribes, we've had our trouble, we've had to fight and do different things, and in the beginning, sometimes we had trouble with certain entities within those departments, but everything works out, and we do have people that are living on that reservation as well. There's one remaining house from the early days.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And we take care of our people down there. I also have a mobile home down there myself.
Nice.
And that was under contention too by the state because we fell under a different thing. So I had to fight for that too. But
Yeah.
it's still there.
Yeah.
And
Good for you.
We do our best.
Oh, yeah.
We try to keep the language and the culture going and everything, and that's the best we can do.
That's
But
great.
it's nice to see a sister out here.
Thank you so much, Chief. Much appreciate your explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome. I saw somebody else, John.
Yeah, somebody popped in.
I think it was Russ.
Russ had
Yes.
a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so great to meet you via Zoom, Daryl. I was talking to Chief George Spring Buffalo recently, and he mentioned that the tribe either has already acquired or is in the process of acquiring some additional land in Tiverton. Could you talk to us about that?
Yes. it is it's right in the process now of closing, and we're going to be purchasing an additional, I believe it's like, don't quote me, but I think it's about 40 or 50 acres. And it's right in the area of the Tiverton Casino off of Route 24. It's prime land. There is water there from what I understand. I haven't been out for a site assessment yet, but I will be very shortly. I was waiting for it to close to see exactly where and where I want to go with it. I am in charge of doing all that stuff, and I'm actually looking forward to getting in there and getting things going. We're gonna turn that into a place for the youth, the elders, and tribal people to go in and be able to do basically what they want and do their culture there. We're going to turn it into something traditional, like with log chairs and the fires, and it'll be a place that people can just go whenever they want and be away from other people. It's probably one of the biggest purchases that we have done so far. We have been involved with the Tiverton Casino. The Tiverton Casino has a gentleman's agreement with us, and a signed gentleman's agreement that all our attorneys worked out, because originally where they put the casino was on our first reservation in Tiverton. So by putting it there, we had to make sure that they weren't digging up, burials and things like that from the many years ago that our people were there, because we did move across the water from South Watuppa Pond to north over in the edge of Westport and Fall River. But this land is it's right very close to that Sepauwett Point that I just showed you in the picture where we do the quahagen with the children. And I think it's like, don't quote me, but I think it's maybe a couple of blocks from that point. So it's not only is it going to be an area for the tribal people to use, but it'll be a staging area where we can bring the clams and the fish and everything and end up smoking them and doing different things. So I have some huge plans with it. I can't tell you everything now, but we have we have some really good plans that we're going to do over there, and it will be a place where I'll be teaching drumming to the children as well over there. So I mean, we got to give them, what we're trying to do is preserve our language, not somebody else's, not take somebody else's, another tribe's culture, but the culture from here, and that's what we're trying to adhere to. And I've done that for the last 14 years with my drum. We've traveled all over the world, so we're going to keep that going with our children and keep that culture going. So I'm looking forward, and I'm also looking forward to any volunteers that want to help out. So Russ, if you feel like coming over there, just give me a holler.
Yes, I definitely do. And actually, Chief and I were going to walk that property in the spring, and I was going to evaluate the plant life there and then make some suggestions about additional plants, which I would just give the tribe from my nursery to add to the landscape there to further diversify what's there. These would all be native edible plants. So I look forward to the opportunity of doing that.
Oh, I'm happy to hear you, and I'm glad I met you, Russ, because we got a lot of talking to do.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you.
That's good. There are a couple more questions in here.
Okay.
Janet, do you feel like coming on, or would you, I can read it as well? I'm going to read it just to keep moving here. When you plant the three sisters that no one can find, are the plantings in the middle of the woods?
They are. They are in the middle of the woods. And they're in areas where the sun comes through, because we don't want people to find, our food sources and things. And we don't keep them in the same place like they do traditionally with the farm. We'll move them, We want to keep the land pristine. We're not going to overuse it and, burn out the soil that location up, basically let it be restored to what it was. And that's how, that's how we keep good growth and good management of the lands and everything. And also, one of the biggest things is, especially like during, King Philip's War, we had different places where we grew vegetables and things that we could use during war. So they were all over in different spots, and then of course they were buried in corn cribs and everything and stuff, so that we could come in and use them as we need it.
Okay, great. And there's another question here. Can you say a few words about your tribe's historical and present relationships with the plant that we call poison ivy?
Oh, well, I mean, poison ivy, like anything else, can be a medicine. I don't use it. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not too familiar with everything about poison ivy, other than what I like to do, and I always tell my good friend Donnie Flores, is please bring me some goats and eat this out of here. But I'm not really familiar with the medicinal properties of poison ivy. I don't particularly get it. I'm somewhat immune to it, but some of the people in my family are not. And on the reservation, we have, there's quite a bit of it. So I usually try to stay away from it. Like everything else, it's no good for you. So I don't know what else I can say about the poison ivy, to be honest with you. Yes, it can be a nuisance, but again, it's a natural growing plant. So we leave it alone. We put our path someplace else.
Okay. All right. And then Janet just had a follow-up question about the three sisters growing in the woods. She asked, the plants grow okay in the woods? Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, we look for a place where there's openings in the woods.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be something where there's like total growth where we can, we're not going to get any sun, because you need about 6 hours sun a day for those to grow up, and so, just as like anything else, I mean, there are open patches that we're going to put those places. So yeah, I mean, without the sun and everything, without the proper water, I mean, nothing is going to grow, is going to grow good. So, just like on our reservation, we have some open spots, and that's where we put the apple orchard, actually, that we were growing years ago. Unfortunately, it didn't work out because we have so many deer on our reservation. They just eat everything, so it didn't work. But yes, that's how we do it. We look for those open spots, and then of course we bring in the herring and everything, and plant it and fertilize it, and then we get going with the garden.
Okay. I think we got them all. And
All right.
In an effort to keep moving, I'm gonna.
Okay. Let's go on to. Okay, so this is pretty unique. This is a bird, probably, I'm sure you may or may not recognize them. There's not a lot of them around anymore. This is the ruffed grouse. This was a bird that was pretty traditional in the East, and is a good game bird. Good game bird to eat. It would be a bird that we hunted and cooked. And if you look at the grouse, and you look at the picture down below, that's myself, and you look at the tuft on top of his head right there. Okay, that has a lot to do with the Eastern traditional roach. Okay, the roach that I'm wearing is made out of deer and porcupine. Okay, and what we're doing is, and this is how you hide in the woods. We didn't have all those colors like those brilliant colors like you see on mine, unless we dyed them with cranberries or something. But the traditional ones, they were those colors of the ruffled grouse. So the movement of the head, that's how we could hunt, because we took on the mimic of the animals. We were very quiet, very stealthy, and the roach basically mimicked the bird. And also, in the forest, if you listen, if you're a drummer, and that's usually where I go when I want to create new music, is is in the woods, I have to be alone. And I listen to all those sounds that the forest creates, because the forest really creates a symphony orchestra, if you listen to it, of music. There are so many different calls in there. For instance, that ruffled grouse, he makes a banging sound on his breast before he takes off. Or when they're mating, they make that bang sound. And that's all sounds that I want to incorporate into the drum, or the sounds that they make. If you've ever, I mean, I've hunted on fish trapped all my life, so those sounds, I know what they are when I walk into the woods. You know, I know what animals are there. I look at the tracks of those animals to see what they are, or I can tell if it's a grouse. Now we have pheasant, because they've populated the east with pheasant. They stock them every year, so the pheasant's pretty much a local bird now, and they make their own sound when they're taking off, and that gives me ideas for songs that I'm gonna make, for the music, just as the duck and the goose, same thing. They have like a series of call and response, we call it, and that's very traditional in Native American music. Is you'll have a call and a response type of song. So they'll be doing that during the mating season, and it's wonderful being out there in the forest and just listening to all these things, and it really helps to develop those sounds, help you develop music. That's why it's the native people are the stewards of this land. If you look at like my sister Sharon there with the Mohegan Reservation, all the things that they do are there to culture the land and keep it pristine, keep it the way that it was, keep the water the way that it was. Our job has always been stewards of this land, because we don't think that we own the land, we only use it. We use the land for a time, while we're alive, and we want to turn that land over to the next generation. We want to give them what we had, Today you look around, everything's, being built on, and it's paved roads, and when I was a kid, it wasn't like that even in the 60s. I used to go out my back door and I was immediately in the woods. And, from when I was a little kid, we used to go out hunting with BB guns when I was a little kid. That was, we graduated from the bow and arrows my father gave us. And, that's all part of being, one with the land. You have to be out there. You have to be able to take those elements. You have to be able to adapt, to the land and be thankful for it, And basically that's what I am. I'm thankful for the land that's left and what we have. So I'm going to show you some of the, so you understand what I do. I mean, these are just brief pictures. This is me. I was a trapper. I can't do it anymore. I had injuries that stem from the military. Doesn't allow me to go out and do what I used to do as a trapper. But this is beaver trapping. And the beaver, the only reason that I trap the beaver is when they were a nuisance for the state, because I don't like to take the beaver unless it's absolutely, positively something that's bad. And unfortunately, this beaver right here took down an entire electrical supply place, and they put people out of their electricity, put people out of jobs and businesses. So I had to go in there and trap this beaver. He was a pretty big guy too, this beaver. And, those are some of the old skills, that native people like us have. Over here, this picture, this is me. I went on a boar hunt with some of my buddies years ago, and was probably one of the greatest hauls of meat I ever had. It was absolutely delicious. We used everything on that boar, and we were in the deep wood swamps. It was great, and that's kind of what we do. We give thanks to that. Over here to the left in this boat, this is a native art. That boat right there is what you call a sneak boat or a skull boat. This was developed strictly by the native people here. And what we did is we would get in our machines, our boats, and by leaning, we could tilt those boats up so that you couldn't see us when we came up on the quarry or waterfowl on the water, and we would take them with the bow and arrow. Well, this is still being done today by very few. I don't see many doing it anymore, but that boat that I have, that boat was built 1954 up in Newburyport, Plum Island, and it's a relic. I restored it, and I use that myself and my brother, and we go out duck hunting, waterfowl hunting, goose hunting. I've been doing it since I was a young man. I made the decoys. The old way of making the decoys, we would have taken that dry grass and wrapped them and made them into a floating decoy. We've gotten beyond that now. We use wood and we use Chesapeake Bay cork to make those decoys. But I've been doing this for most of my life, and all of that, everything that we get from those ducks, including the bones, the feathers, all goes into traditional things. The meat goes to myself and my family, and like I said, I've been doing this for many years, and that's how I got involved with doing Ducks Unlimited and management and everything. I picked up a lot of education from them. Just one of my favorite things. Over here, this was just a picture. This was a couple of guys from the Eastern Medicine Singers. We went to go do a traditional show for these great friends of ours. They run the water council in Lincoln, Rhode Island, the Watershed Authority. These guys have saved the Blackstone River more than anybody I have ever seen. I mean, they have removed tons and tons of things out of the river. They've restored beauty along the Blackstone River, all the way from Cumberland down to Woonsocket, Rhode Island. We are constant supporters of their cause. The president of the association is a good friend of mine, and we would do anything for them because they're just like us. They're stewards of the land. So we were down there that day, and they decided they wanted to get some good pictures of us. So we hid like we normally would do traditionally. Okay, so I'll open this up for any questions that anybody has about this portion, and that's one of this picture over here. That was me quite a few years ago. And on the right, this is my daughter. I have been taking her fishing and teaching her outdoors since she was born, as well as my son. All of them know how to shoot. They know how to fish. They know how to shoot bow and arrow. They know how to clean animals. They're very, very well versed in our traditional stuff. So my daughter also, she's a great smoke dancer. She won't do it anymore, but she's a fantastic smoke dancer. And my son is an Eastern War dancer. So if you have any questions, I'm open.
I am not seeing questions in the chat. If anybody wants to jump on, we've got. Oh, here we go. What's your approach to composting?
We do that. We usually compost all the leaves and the small branches and stuff in the reservation around the mobile homes that are there, so that we can have that if we want to plant something on the garden. Also, at the property that I own here in Woonsocket, this is actually on a original reservation called Pokanoket, and I treat it like it is my reservation. And I've had words with the local cities, and I actually won a case against a mortgage company because I was a direct descendant of the person who signed this deed. And I was able to reconfigure my mortgage based on the fact that I own the land. They did not want to take it and finish it in court. So I treat it like a reservation. I have compost all around my house. And it's everywhere. I don't pick up the leaves, and I let the leaves sit there, and then I use them all at the end of the year. I rake them into a thing, and I use them to grow stuff. This year, I actually had, thanks to Global Village Farms, Donnie and Matt came out and built me a riser that I'm going to be using this spring, and it's all composted, and I'm going to put some more compost in it and grow some Three Sisters in it this coming year in my property. So I'm happy about that. But that's what we do. Yes, we definitely use composting. Very efficient.
What do you look for when you're choosing an animal to hunt?
Well, it depends on, my needs, what I need to, like I make jewelry as well. And if I want to make, certain jewelry and I want to eat certain food, that's basically what I go after. I do a lot of waterfowl hunting, and I really love the taste of rabbit. So those are two of the biggest things that I'm always out doing. And rabbit hunting has always been one of my favorites, because this is a hunt where all the people can be together. It's almost like a gathering of the people, because the way that we hunt them with hounds, so we're all generally together. It's one of the most peaceful hunts that I really enjoy. Now, the waterfowl, which is my love, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but the results are great, because we use everything in that animal. The bones, the feathers, the meat, nothing goes to waste in any of these things that we hunt, any of the animals that we hunt. Same with the rabbits. We use the pelt, we use that to make something. So it's a wonderful way to look at it, is by what you need. And, if I need a lot of meat, I'm going out deer hunting. If I want to feed everybody for the winter and have, deer burgers and, roasts and back straps, I'm going out for the big game. If I just need some extra duck, we need to have duck on the table for a night, or a rabbit, or, possum, or whatever. That's what I choose, and that's basically how we hunt, by need.
Russ has got two questions, and seeing as he opened up his mic, I'm going to assume he doesn't mind coming back on and asking those questions.
Hi, Daryl. So I wanted to know if one of the guys in the river photo was John Marsland.
Yes.
Okay.
Good friend of mine.
Yeah,
Good
I know John.
Yep.
I used to work on the Blackstone River in Massachusetts, so I would
okay.
I would interact with him quite a bit. And my second question was, you've talked a lot about animals, and I love to go quahogging too. That's wonderful. But I'm curious to know if there's any kind of wild berries or nuts or other wild plants that you or other tribal members like to collect and eat.
Well, we do have wild blueberries on the reservation, and we have Raspberries. Raspberries always been my favorite. Anything raspberry is good. And we have the Strawberry Festival in June. So we're always looking to grab a lot of strawberries in the early beginnings of the summer because we have that event. So, and of course I love strawberries, but yeah, I mean, the more the merrier. Definitely. And Quohagen, yeah, I love Quohagen.
And Ellen, got a question?
Yeah, this is a question about salmon. And I don't know where salmon was traditionally. I just, I can say, like, on a personal level, something that makes me so sad is the disappearance of salmon in what we now call New England. And I know there's little bits coming back, and some of it has to do with dams. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with pesticides and how we treat the land. But can you just talk a little bit about salmon and the traditional relationship with some of the tribal nations, Pokanoket, Pocasset, but maybe some of the other ones in New England?
Yeah, I mean, the salmon is it's huge. It was huge on the East Coast, all the way up to Maine and Canada, and a lot of the Western tribes as well. I have a friend that's with the Umatilla tribe out in Oregon, and he's actually in charge of the salmon program out there. And when we were out there a couple of years ago, he brought us some beautiful salmon, smoked salmon steaks. Unfortunately, here on the east, I mean, the Atlantic salmon has been basically decimated, and a lot of it was because of the problems in the bay, the sewage, the dams are a huge thing, because they can't get up them. I'm thinking about a lot of people don't even know there's sea trout, which we call the squetig, and every once in a while you hear of somebody catching a squetig in the bay, so you know that they're still around. And I'm hoping the Narragansett Bay has been cleaned up quite a bit since the old days, and as well as the Blackstone River. But that was like a main river that all of those fish went up. The herring, the salmon, the sea trout, they were all migrating back, to spawn and everything. And I have not seen an Atlantic salmon in my entire fishing career in either Massachusetts or Rhode Island. There's another fish too that's runs every summer. I'm trying to think of the name of it. They go up the Connecticut River, the shad. And I had the experience. My father took me. It was an annual thing every year. The Connecticut River shad were coming up the river, just same thing. They still come. There are towns that thrive on the Connecticut River shad. People come there specifically, still, that are in Connecticut. Fortunately, around here, maybe up in Maine and some bigger rivers up in Maine, I believe they still have salmon, but mostly around here, like the state fisheries and stuff, they stock a landlocked salmon, but not wild. I hope to God there are still some around, but again, I haven't seen any of them. Now, I'm not really a fisheries expert, but I haven't heard of any of my friends, and I got a lot that have fished up and down the bay for many years. Never heard of anybody seeing one or snagging one. So, unfortunately, hopefully they're there, but we're just not seeing them. But I haven't seen any. Sad.
I don't know why this one touches me so much. I don't fish. Like salmon like everybody else, but for some reason this one has just, I don't talk a lot about it to people, but it's something that really sits in my heart. And I keep thinking if prayers are offered, but you have to do the conditions too, like you have to get the dams away. And there is talk here in Massachusetts of not that this will affect the salmon, but on the Kenobican or Charles, they're thinking, in South Natick, they're thinking of taking
Yeah.
that dam up. They're thinking of taking the Watertown one up.
Good.
And I just keep thinking, I want to believe in the possibility of this.
Yeah. It's a start. It's the start. We need a start, and I'm hoping that they do, I've seen the river herring, come back. That's a great thing. The sea trout, the sea trout still floating around. So, hopefully the Atlantic salmon comes back here to this area. I sure would like to catch one. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Rebecca has a question in the chat.
Okay.
If you're willing to speak up. Otherwise, I'm happy to read it. Oh, actually, well, sorry, it wasn't a question.
Okay.
She's just making a point saying that it's hard to make traditional food for ancestors when the food is gone.
Yeah.
That's
true.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Let's keep rolling. We're
okay. So this is the river herring. We were nomadic people, so a lot of people don't understand this because they're not like this. But the native people were nomadic. We moved where the food was. We moved during the seasons, the spring, the summer. We were harvesting fish, smoking fish for the winter. We went to inland ponds where the runs were plentiful, and we lived along the rivers and estuaries of the ocean. And again, we bring up the herring, the squetig, and the salmon. They all came up the bays. There was a place on the Sakonnet River that I have heard that the flounder was so numerous they could basically pick them up out of the water, and those were all territorial places of the Pocassets and the Pokanokets, and then of course the big run of herring that went up the Nemasket River, that went into the Assawamset Pond in Lakeville, and that was one of my grandfather's, Wetaskiwin, Chief Wetaskiwin of that tribe, the Assawamset tribe. So planting was done in different areas, as I spoke about before, and we grew the corns and the beans and squash together because they all complemented each other. And the way that we did things, basically, in different places was for the mobility of the tribes. Now, again, I'm getting into this art of sculling and waterfowling and stuff. And this is, again, that's a skull boat over there. And if you go directly below it, you can see the reeds that they use. This is how the native people wrap their duck decoys, because this was all part of waterfowl hunting. The waterfowl are probably one of the most wary birds around, and because they're underwater, they can take off and fly. So we wanted to get the food, so we developed a way of attracting them in. So we made those, and then of course, I'll show you this. This is actually a waterfowl call. We could use our mouths back then. I'm not as good as it now as I used to be. I don't have the breath, but this is a basic Eastern mallard style waterfowl call, and it sounds like. So what you would do is, with a combination of the decoys and the calls itself, you would bring the birds in, because a lot of times the birds would be going to a place to feed, or they might want to be in another spot. And as a hunter, it's your job to get them to the place that you can take them, and that's basically what we did and what we use those calls for. This is a more traditional decoy here on the left. A lot of them are very, very detailed. This is more of a decoy that you would keep over a mantle, and the one on the right is the one that you want to be in the water hunting with. But again, this is a native style of hunting. All the natives on the east were experts in this style of hunting, the sneak boat capability. And they would, if you're in the water and you lean this way, you rock the boat up, you can hide behind that boat. They can't see you. All they see is a log coming. So the boats today are a little bit different than the one that I had. It's made to be out on the bay, and it's made with a small oar in the back, and you're actually sculling through the ocean with it, and through the bays. Very, very deadly art of Indian hunting. Okay, and the drum is the heartbeat of the land, the heartbeat of the people. It's used. The beats are used to form traditional songs, and I don't know if I can click on this if it's active. I had a link in here. I was gonna show you a couple of beats, but that's all right. I can do it with my drum. So this is a hand drum. This drum is made for men and women to play, and very traditional beats. And you have your double beat or your heartbeat. Then you have your honor beats. You're playing those in the middle of the song, and what those are used is to give honor to the people. And then, of course, you have what's called a ruffle beat or a medicine beat, and that's a prelude to different types of song. We have a dance that's called the calumet. It's a dance that is where the chiefs smoke the pipe at the powwows or at a traditional gathering. And that dance is done, and it starts off just with a ruffle like that, and then it goes into the beat. There's all different types of songs that have to do with animals. The rabbit dance, song that comes from Six Nations, the eagle song. I know an eagle song from the Lenape Nation, and then, of course, we have the bear songs. Many tribes have the bear song, and we have our own. And if you look at these songs, they represent the movement of the animal. Very, the drum really moves. It moves me. And I already got into this. This is the call of the warriors. Your drum beats. This Nasquata Mosquito, that is a song that I wrote for a old dance that was done by our people. It's a fire dance, and you actually have two lighted sticks, or one stick, one complete long stick, and it's a medicine dance that we do, and these are the words for that, and I created a song for that dance. So we have a elder. He's actually the war chief for the Pocasset Wampanoag Tribe. He is one of the people that does this fire dance, and he asked me to make a song for him for it, and I did. I was hoping, I don't know, my links are not active, John. Are you able to?
I don't think I'm.
Okay.
We can try typing them into the chat. Maybe Meryl can.
Okay.
Jump on with that.
I can just I'll do a quick hand demonstration so we don't lose too much time. We're almost at the end, but I'll give you a quick of this song.
That'd be great.
Way So that is the fire dance. It's not a slow dance, as you can see, and those are words from our people. So with the hand drum in our culture, the hand drum is made for use with men and women. The big powwow drum, which I had previously posted, that is only sat with by the men. Some tribes do have a mixed drum, but we do not here. This is the treaty that I was telling you about. Unfortunately, I cannot click on that. But this is the Mass Bay Colony Agreement signed in 1725. Mass Maritimes Indian Treaty. It covered all the way up to the Mi'kmaq people and down to the southern tribes here, southeastern Mass and Massachusetts. A couple of them were the Treaty of Falmouth and the Treaty of Casco Bay. That gives us our fishing and hunting rights, aboriginal rights that we still have. Okay, so a little bit about the Pocassets. First chief of written history of the Pocassets was Corbitant. He was a very powerful chief. He had about 300 warriors at his command at the point of contact, and he could get more. The second chief, who was his daughter, was Chief Weedamo. She was the squaw sachem during King Philip's War. She died crossing the Taunton River, fleeing from the colonists. Her sister, Wuntunkanuski, was also married to King Philip. So all these people were married into the Pokanoket Tribe, Pokanoket Nation, royal family. They are all my family. I'm a direct descendant of Massasoit himself. Okay, I think I'll just open the questions up at the end to get this rolling. We're almost out of time. These people that are up on this picture, these are my ancestors from the Watuppa Reservation, Fall River. This is my good friend Dania. Some of you may know her. She runs Global Village Farms in Grafton. Great person, and again, she's a staple to our tribe. She does a lot of stuff with us, and we do a lot of stuff, especially my chairman, Chief Spring Buffalo. She has a beautiful organic garden over there and supplies a lot of us natives with food. And this is our reservation. This is actually a descendant of the great sachem Leroy Perry, who was the grand sachem of the entire nation. He was a Pocasset, born on the Watuppa, from the royal family as well. This is Chief Dwayne. He is of that clan. The difference between us and the Europeans is that Europeans, they had land by title and deed, and the European ownership to, they had a whole different view than we did. Our right was communal. Even our reservation today, Watuppa Reservation, is still communal. And, we do everything to take care of the land. The Europeans, Americans, have raped the land. They've used chemicals, GMOs, and they basically, a lot of them have ruined this land. Thank God for the people that are coming back and trying to get this back on track. And of course, we use everything natural for sustained growth and fertilization. Okay. And that's it. This is my cousin, Dean Running Deer. He is a member of the Eastern Medicine Singers, and he is a Calumet dancer. He is from the Narragansett Indian tribe, and he is my cousin. And he's a great dancer. So, thank you all. This has been a great honor to be with everybody today, and definitely share my I'll share my email address
Yeah.
I think I can put it, I think I can type it in the chat here, right?
You certainly can, Daryl. And maybe you could stop sharing your screen, and then we can get everybody back on. And
Okay.
definitely got a couple of requests in there to share your email address.
Okay.
Merrill
There we
and
go.
Jen Salinetti were actually able to post some of your links into the chat. So now would be a
Oh,
good time,
great.
folks. Yeah, so if y'all want to save the chats or jot down the YouTube links, they're right here toward the end of our chat. But they were able to drop those in, and Daryl's email address is in there. And I want to thank you. That was just wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure to be here with everybody today.
Well, it's an honor to have you.
I hope everybody got a lot out of that. I know it was a lot of information.
It's just the beginning of a conversation. Hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully we get to continue doing this.
Absolutely.
All right. I won't. What time is it now? Yeah. I just want to remind folks we do have actually maybe Merrill can drop the link in. There's an evaluation for these sessions, which we're always interested in your feedback to try to make these. It's hard to imagine to make it better, but we always are trying to. And again, check out our vendors in the auction and all that fun stuff. Trying to think what else I'm forgetting here.
We've got the auction link up there and the bulk order link if folks are thinking about their gardens, especially after this inspiring talk.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And unfortunately, I got to let the room go for the next folks. But again, thank you, Daryl, for your time.
Welcome.
Let's do it again. And thank you all for coming. Love having you. Love seeing you. And have fun.
Absolutely. As we say in my language, Aquani, Khan, Nahanashach, Nakisko at the team, Wakianach. Peace and farewell until we meet again.
I love it.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much.